From Our Side of the Fence resulted from the internment autobiography writing workshop, and that took place over a series of several years, and it was held at the Japanese Cultural and Community Center of Northern California. And that's where the writings evolved from various lesson plans in this book, From Our Side of the Fence.
It was a chance to, well, to get things out that I had held within myself, and let other people know what we went through, not just myself, but then my family and friends and other people that I encountered in the camps.
Been asked to testify in Washington, D.C. over redress reparations, and I realized then, coming face to face with people in Congress, that the whole experience where we were just oppressed.
I was over at a friend's house where we went to play cards, and after we finished, we had dinner, and then there was no butter on the table. So I asked the hostess, do you have some butter that we could use to put on our bread? And she says, no, I don't, but I have apple butter. And I was so shocked that I just burst out laughing, and everybody else looked so puzzled. They didn't know what was so funny. In the concentration camp, we had nothing but apple butter. We didn't have real butter, and I hated it, and so did everybody else. And anyway, that made such a big impression on me that I couldn't forget that incident. So when it came time to write something about the camps, I thought, I think this is a good story to write.
The stories have been inside of me for a long time, and attending the class, I realized that there are just layers. You know, the more I thought about it, there are more stories.
Originally, our family was in San Diego when the war broke out, so we were sent to Poston, to the Colorado River Indian Reservation.
And the cover design was done by Zan G, who did a really nice job creating, you know, Ruth's beautiful, I guess, drawing / painting. Would it be a drawing or
It's
a
a drawing. This writing class became a way for me to go beyond the abstract part of drawing, or even more the realistic type of drawing that I do. But I really enjoyed this writing class because it allowed me to really think about it in writing this time. And one lesson Brian asked us to do was to think about another creature, to use something else's, some other voice. And of course, for all of us in the camp, scorpions and rattlesnakes were one of the themes, I think, that most of us, or image that most of us left the camp with. So I wrote a poem about the scorpion and the rattlesnake.
I lived in Portland, Oregon, and we were moved to the North Portland Assembly Center, and then went on to Minidoka internment camp.
I was born here in Japantown, San Francisco. We were interned in Tanforan and later to Topaz. Well, I think the class was an opportunity to reflect on the camp experience and how we struggled with the trauma of it, and it was really a opportunity to heal some of the wounds that you know, we incurred from the experience. Yeah. It's a story where I went back to the camps and to our barrack and to our front porch, and I uncovered some marbles that I had hidden under the porch, and that was quite a revelation for me, and it was symbolic of going back and finding something that was meaningful to me at the time as a child. But the significance of it for me was to return as an adult, where I was, you know, originally a child when I went to camp.
Well, the announcements was a story about what was happening in camp while the 442nd soldiers were in battle. And as they lost their lives and this type of thing happened, they would have announcements in the mess hall talking about who had died. And for a while, it was like every single day there would be somebody that we knew, and the impact that it had on the families and on everybody in camp. And I think that was one of the stories that I don't think has been written about.
My name is Florence Miho Nakamura. I was born in San Francisco in South Park in 1929. My family was moved, after we had moved to Japantown, to Tanforan in California, and then on to Utah, to Topaz, Utah. We went to Tanforan from Kimmon Gakuen in San Francisco, and we didn't know where we were going. We went through a wired fence, and it clanged right behind us, and we were in this place. It was at the Tanforan racetrack, and there were just all Japanese people around. I had never seen so many at one time, and our family was housed in a barrack in one room with 5 of us in it. I was just ready to start talking about what camp was like, but the main thing was I have 5 grandchildren, and I thought, if I don't have this written down now, no, it'll be gone with me. And now my oldest granddaughter, who is 25, is doing a paper or a book, I hope, on our family. And so she's been writing me back and forth and asking questions. So it's really been a learning experience for me, and of course for Kristen too.
My name is Harumi Iwakiri Sarada, and I was born in Tacoma, Washington, in the suburb. And I first went into Camp Harmony, which was at the Puyallup Fairgrounds, and from there we went on to Minidoka, Idaho. You know, in camp there was a lot of old bachelor men, and we sort of worried about them. And we saw this old man standing, you know, outside, and he would have this suitcase. And we said, what's wrong with this man? You know, he was there every day. And well, he thought that somebody was going to come and pick him up and return him home to his place in Seattle. But the poor man actually was sent to a mental institution. And later on, I read in the camp newspaper that quite a few people went on to the mental institution, and they had mental breakdowns being, you know, put into camp because they just didn't understand. Well, one thing I enjoyed about the class is that I was with people. When I told my story, I didn't have to explain myself, that they knew exactly the circumstances, and it just felt good to be able to talk to other people who had the same experience.
The writers who are unable to make it today but also participated in this class and project are Fumi Manabe Hayashi, Yoshito Wayne Osaki, Daisy Ueda Satoda, and Michi Tashiro. Again, Naoko Ito was a quilter who contributed that visual to the book. And finally, we cannot forget Jill Marie Shiraki, who was an excellent program director and really helped organize the project and readings that surrounded the project and so forth. So thank you to them as well.